You know, a library district board meeting, usually about as exciting as the name suggests. Well, last night in Meridian, their library district board meeting was far from boring. Maybe it had to do with the 200+ people packed into the meeting room to share their views on their community library. The first item of business, swearing in 2 new trustees by reciting an oath, where they solemnly swear to support the Constitution, both the U.S. and the Idaho, and faithfully discharge the duties of a library trustee according to the best of their ability. Well, those duties, at least last night, included listening to more than 2 hours of testimony, including from several members of the Idaho Liberty Dogs and a group who call themselves Concerned Citizens of Meridian, who wanted to be clear they weren't there to dissolve the library district or to ban books.
But we are here to do what we can to ensure that the library conforms to the wishes of concerned citizens of Meridian, especially responsible parents who want to protect their children from the Marxist indoctrination that seems to be sweeping our country.
We believe that this insidious growth that's happening in our world must be stopped in its tracks. And one way we intend to do that is by restricting the kinds of subversive materials available to our children in our libraries.
Today, our libraries have permitted evil influences to enter its premises. By evil, I mean the increasing influence of the satanic community's belief system.
And you know what else? As a taxpayer, I should be responsible for what my money supports. My money does not support grooming children, showing private parts in a library to 5-year-olds, men and women, men and men on top of each other. This has nothing to do with being gay. I know that that's everything some of these people are about. They have no personality outside of gay.
I just don't like other people's ideologies being crammed down my throat and them trying to force me to accept their evil behaviors.
It's not banning. Sounds a little bit like banning, maybe. I don't know. Maybe a little light censorship. Either way, the dogs and the other concerned citizens were overwhelmingly outnumbered as the board heard stories and testimony about how much the library and all of its books mean to Meridianites.
Public libraries are such an important piece of our democracy that we all need to be defending our libraries to the ends of the earth. I'm so thankful for libraries. I'm so thankful for what you do and that you're dealing with what you're dealing with today. And I just want you to know how much it means to most of us.
And my name is Dom Gelsomino. I'm a proud Meridian citizen. I'm a Christian. I'm a conservative. I'm a parent. And I'm gay. The accusations of grooming, a common dog whistle by bigots, implying that being LGBT is a choice. I can speak from personal, profound spiritual experience that it is not a choice.
I use the library a lot with my children. We use the book It's Perfectly Normal. When my husband was deployed and I had to teach my children, my sons, about sex ed, it was not a very comfortable topic when it came up when my husband was on a ship, so I used the book.
As a responsible parent,
All right, what she went on to say, as a responsible parent, you're responsible for your family, and what you choose for your kids, well, that shouldn't be pushed upon the rest of us. Neither side wants to be imposed upon, apparently, which sounds like a standstill. In essence, it was last night a standstill, because there would not be any decision made last night on books on Meridian library shelves, because that's not what the board does. They simply set the criteria for the collection development policy. The librarians decide what books get into the building, and the criteria they use, well, it's on their website for all to see. Things like diversity, appropriateness, public demand. It was a point made clear by the library district chair last night, who told us today they are more than happy to listen to the concerns of those who showed up, even if they can't really do anything about it.
Normally, very minimal attendance at our meetings.
Like 0, like 5?
Sometimes 0, sometimes 1 or 2, very rarely more than 2.
We will begin with the first item on our agenda.
It was a very unusual meeting for us. In my time on the board, I've never seen a turnout like that.
Hi, I'm Melissa.
You made it clear last night, the board, your job is to set policy, but not choose books.
Mm-hmm.
What did you take from last night?
We're precluded as a governmental entity to set limitations based on viewpoint for us to restrict books would be a First Amendment violation, not censorship. We understand that parents are concerned about what their kids are reading. We strongly encourage them to be involved. Our expectation is that parents will know what their kids are checking out. So we have tools that allow them to do that. They can add their email to their child's library and see when books are due and what items are on hold. They can log into their child's account and see what's being checked out. So all kinds of tools for parents to be involved. That's our expectation. We're not a child care facility where a parent can drop off their kid unattended. Our expectation is that parents will be involved, and we have tools to help them do that.
As it stands now, according to current Meridian library policy, you can count on your librarians to help you find any of these books, take you through the checkout process, or even deliver them directly to your home, all without a single question about how old you are, and certainly not with any effort to speak with your parent before releasing the book to a minor.
Of course not, right? We have a First Amendment right to read whatever we want to, and people have privacy, right? It is a limitation on First Amendment rights if I say, well, what are you checking out and why, and checking your age. People should be able to check out the books that they want to without interference from a governmental entity like a library.
What about the suggestion that they don't want these books banned or even removed, but just kind of set aside into a special section?
Sure. So many of the books that they've brought up are in the adult section, but for us to place a book behind the counter and say, you need to show us your ID and prove your age before we'll let you have that book is pretty clearly a First Amendment violation, right?
So there is a legal aspect to it.
Absolutely, and the Nampas Library faced that back in 2008.
Calling for the removal of 2 books, The Joy of Sex and The Joy of Gay Sex.
Like all the body parts are detailed and everything kind of a stuff. It's very pornographic books, essentially.
They attempted to do a policy like that, restricting a book, placing it behind the counter if people had to ask for it, and they faced some pretty costly litigation, so they rescinded that policy. These are not new issues, well tested in the courts.
As somebody who's been involved with the Meridian Library for as long as you have, what was it like to sit there and hear words like indoctrination, grooming, Marxism being thrown at you and your library?
Our youth of today are being targeted by irresponsible adults who wish to indoctrinate them.
What we want is for the sexualization and grooming of all children to stop once and for all.
Who want to protect their children from the Marxist indoctrination that seems to be sweeping our country.
My money does not support grooming children.
More socialist Marxist ideologies will be infiltrating our public libraries, which I find appalling.
I mean, that inflammatory language is unfortunate, but it's not well thought out. It's not really considering what's happening at libraries and how they're actually used. I spend hours there every month. I talk to a lot of families that are using the library. I hear a lot of great stories about the meaningful impact that the library is having in their life and the value that they get out of it. So it just doesn't feel like they're in the same world that I am. I think often folks that have a real negative view of the library haven't been to one in a while. And we will continue to try to help people feel comfortable in the library and get their own family's needs met. There's no 2 families that come in the library that have the same views and values about what kids should read, right? Everybody is a little bit different. We want to meet the needs of all of those families.
Okay, so now what? Well, as you heard, the board is very limited in what it can do when it comes to removing or restricting access to books. But they are super excited about the new branches they're about to build. Megan mentioned last night the board received 50 written comments within the past week. 49 were in support of a diverse and inclusive collection and the freedom to read. Now, to be clear, most of the books brought up last night aren't even in the children's section of the library, and a few aren't even in the Meridian collection. Megan reminded us, if someone does have a problem with an item, there's a reconsideration process, which is also detailed on their website. It starts with writing a letter to the library director. At one point, Megan told us, the concerned citizens of Meridian submitted a list of 53 items they wanted removed and restricted from the library. A list they sent to the board, not the library director. One more thing, the book Genderqueer was the only book to get a reconsideration request. It went through the process, and that result wasn't appealed to the board, so that book remains in the collection. But that doesn't mean the book remains in the library. There's quite a wait list for Genderqueer, likely due to the attention it has received lately.